Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Biology with Saman. I hope everyone is doing great. In today's video, we will be taking up the topic of the pedigree analysis from the chapter of the principle of inheritance and variation. So this topic is somewhat important not only for the board's preparation but also for your NEET examination. So in this video, we will be trying to understand the concept regarding the pedigree analysis. However, in the later on videos, we will be also taking up the PYQs, not only for the boards, but also for the NEET examination. So without any further delay, let's begin our today's video. Whenever we are talking of the pedigree analysis, what we need to know here, it is passing on the traits from the parents to the offspring. That is what the pedigree analysis does. As you all know, this pedigree analysis also works on the principle of the Mendelians. That means, if you have heard of the term of the independent assortment, and also you have talked about the law of dominance, you know that there are the parents' gametes are taken up in order to form a diploid organism or to form an organism in basic language that you can say. So what does a pedigree does? The pedigree is basically, it is important to identify the traits. Pedigree analysis. Why it is important? To analyze genetic trait. To analyze the genetic trait. That is from parents to offspring. From parents to offsprings. Also, you need to know it works on the principle of the Mendelians. Mendelians states that a pair of chromosomes, one from the parent male, one from the parent female, are taken up in order to form an organism. That is what the principle of the pedigree analysis works on. If we are talking of the symbols here, there are some symbols that you need to know. This symbol is denoted by male. However, this symbol is denoted by a female, right? Let's move ahead. If I'm talking of the male is getting affected, that means this is the affected male. However, if I'm talking of the female is affected, that means we are denoting it to be the affected female, right? Now, if there is the marriage between the male and the female, it is denoted by one horizontal line. This is called as marriage. However, if we are taking up two horizontal lines connected to a male with the female, that is called as consanguineous marriage. That means whenever the marriage is taking place between the relatives, that is called as the consanguineous marriage. Also, if we move towards ahead, this has a term that is called as unidentified sex. Unidentified sex of the organism. Let's move ahead. So, okay, one more thing. If we are considering this to be a marriage in between the male and female, the vertical line states that the married couples have the offsprings. This is a vertical line. Vertical line means after marriage, they are having the offsprings. And whenever we are counting the offsprings, we are taking it to be the first one. In this order, it will continue on. So that is the basic concept behind the symbols. Also, there is one more that is denoted as 5. That means 5 unaffected individuals. 5 unaffected individuals. That is the basic concept behind the symbols of the pedigree analysis. Now let's move ahead. Let's talk more about the pedigree analysis. If you remember, there are two types of chromosome. The first one is the sex chromosome that usually determines the sex of the child. Whereas there is another type of chromosomes that is called as the autosomal chromosomes. These autosomal chromosomes are 44 in number. However, the sex chromosomes are usually 2 in numbers. In females, it is XX, whereas in case of males, it is XY. So when we are talking of the autosomal chromosomes, that means we want to know what are the characters, what are the other body characters that are controlled by this autosomal chromosomes. That is the basic difference between the two of them. So suppose if I'm taking the example, suppose if I am taking the example of phenylketonuria, it is a disease that we consider it to be the autosomal recessive disease. So whenever we are talking of the autosomal recessive, there are some genotypes related to this type of disease. The first one is, if we are considering it to be an affected individual, what we need to know, this affected individual, the genotype will be always represented as small a, small a. However, if I'm talking, same condition I'm taking, autosomal recessive, the unaffected individual, I'm taking it to be either capital A or capital A small a. That is the first example related. So all the diseases associated with the autosomal recessive will have small a to be represented as their genotype. However, the unaffected individual will have the genotype of capital A, small a. Let's move ahead. Why we are taking A? Because we are considering it to be an autosome disease. Now let's take the other example. Suppose if I'm taking the example of myotonic dystrophy. It is a skeletal disorder that is responsible for weakening of our skeletal muscles. Weakness will happen in our skeletal muscles. So this myotonic dystrophy is basically, it is autosomal dominant, right? That means if I'm talking of the autosomal dominant trait, the genotype, let's know the genotype. All the autosomal dominant genotypes, if I'm considering it to be an affected individual, what we need to know here, affected individual will have the genotype of capital A or capital A small a. However, if I'm taking it to be the unaffected individual, the genotype is always represented. The genotype is always represented as small a, small a. Now students, there is a catch. There is a catch here. What is the catch? Let's see here. What you need to know from this. Whenever you are talking of the autosomal recessive, always remember here that affected parent will not have normal child. That means, let's see one pedigree. Suppose I'm taking this is to be my affected male and affected female. So the offspring can never be a normal child. Why? Because if I'm talking of the autosomal recessive, what we know here from the above description, autosomal recessive, if the individual is affected, it will be, the genotype will be small a. Here will be also small a, right? So definitely the offsprings will not be normal in any case. So that is why this can never be autosomal recessive. This can never be autosomal recessive. Another catch is whenever I'm talking of the autosomal dominant. What does it say? That normal parent will not have affected child. See, suppose here I'm taking one example. I've took an example of a normal parent. What I'm saying here, that this normal parent is having affected child. How is it possible? Because autosomal dominant normal parent, the genotype were small a. So how come they are having capital A or capital A small a? It is not, it is next to impossible. So that is what it is important here to understand. What are the important phrases whenever we are doing the questions based on the autosomal recessive and autosomal dominant? These are related to the autosomal diseases. However, in your NCRT, there are few examples of the autosomal recessive diseases, which is important for you to learn. The first one is the sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is one of the examples of autosomal recessive disorder. Number one. Number two was definitely it was the phenylketonuria, and number third was cystic fibrosis. In the NCRT autosomal dominant, just one example was there, and that was your myotonic dystrophy. I hope I'm getting clear. Now let's move towards the sex-linked disorders. Sex-linked disorders. Whenever I am talking of the sex-linked disorders, whenever I'm talking of the sex-linked disorder, what we need to know? Sex of the organisms is related. That means the sex chromosomes have got mutated. That is why the disease are getting carried out. So here we need to know here one more thing. It can be either recessive or it can either be dominant. Same case. But also student, always remember this. Whenever I'm talking of the recessive trait, whether it is autosomal, whether it is recessive, there can be skipping of the generation can take place in the pedigree analysis. For example, let's take me one of the examples of the pedigree analysis of the autosomal, right? What I'm saying here, that it can happen that the parent is unaffected, but you are seeing here that one child has got affected. That means whenever there is the skip of the generation, that means in one generation you are not seeing the disease trait. However, in the other progeny this generation line, you can see the trait is visible. That means this generation the disease has got skipped. That is the characteristic of the recessive one. That is applicable to both male as well. That is applicable to both autosomal also, recessive also. So let's talk of the topic of the sex-linked disorders of the recessive one. See here. Whenever we are talking of the recessive trait, there is one of the primary examples to it, which is your hemophilia, followed by color blindness. That is the first example. However, if I'm talking of the dominant trait, we usually consider it to be hypertrichosis. Trichosis means sometimes you see in case of males, usually it has been seen that there are hairs coming out from the ear. That is the example of the hypertrichosis. That is only called as hypertrichosis. Now let's take an example of the recessive, sex-linked and recessive. What you need to know here in the sex-linked recessive disorder, that means all male child is affected from affected female, number one. Number two, all number second point is daughters are affected only if father is affected. Okay. That means, what does it mean? Whenever we are talking of the sex-linked recessive disorder, what we need to know that if the female is affected, also sex-linked means the female has to be affected in both the chromosomes. She has to be get affected, then only all the male child will be affected. Suppose this female is affected, However, this male was the normal, right? So here we see that the male child is affected by, because X dot Y, here we are also getting, because you know the male has only one X chromosome. So if he's getting only one X chromosome from the affected female, then all the male childs will be affected. However, here in this case, this can be either the carrier. However, this female is also the carrier one. That means she will carry the disease, but she has not, but she does not shows the symptoms of the disease. That is the reason behind it. Fine. The second question, the second statement is daughters are affected only if the father is affected. Definitely, see here, she is the carrier of the disease. This is also the carrier of the disease. However, the daughters will only get affected. Recessive trait is always and always, they will get shown only when both the conditions, when both the sex chromosomes are getting affected. Then only the trait will be visible. Suppose if this was not the condition, here in case of the daughters are affected, let's see here. That means here you can see, suppose I'm talking again here. This is also affected, X dot Y, and here it is, suppose this is to be my normal one. However, when the result came, you got to know that the female child is one affected, one not. Somewhat like this, right? So what you can know from here, that one is what, one will be the carrier and another one will be affected only when the when the father is affected. However, the parent mother should be carrier. Then only either she can be carrier or she can be a disease. Then only the daughter can either be the carrier or affected. For daughter to be affected, the father has to be affected, and the mother can either be a carrier or she can be affected too. In recessive also, there is alteration of the skipping of the generation is seen. Also, you need to know here, whenever we are talking of the sex-linked recessive trait, that means from the parent, from the male parent, the female child is affected, and from the affected mother, the affected child, male child is affected. That is basically, it's a crisscross inheritance. In autosomal, we usually say there is not so much type of this things is seen. That means the both male and females are equally affected. Whereas in case of the sex-linked disorders, we usually see that if the female is affected, then her male child will always be affected, and if the male parent is affected, then her female will the female child can either be the carrier or she can be affected only when the when the mother is the affected one. That is the basic concept behind the sex-linked recessive disorder. If we are talking of the sex-linked dominant, what we need to know here from the sex-linked dominant, definitely the one chromosome will only, if there is one gene that is present, that is getting altered in the chromosome, the trait will be seen in the child. Suppose this is the female, if one is only affected, then the trait will be still seen in the child because it is a dominant trait. That is what happens here. That is affected individual. In recessive, we require both the chromosomes to get affected in case of the, to show that the female is affected. Whereas in case of dominant trait, only if the one chromosome is affected, the trait will be displayed into the progenies. That is the basic difference between all of them. Let's pick up one example that we have taken. Suppose there are few various examples that I have taken which is important. Let's see here. The first question states that You need, from just above the diagram, you need to understand which is the pedigree analysis trait, right? See, this cannot be sex linked. Why is it so? Because for, suppose, first of all, let's know whether it is dominant or the recessive one. You can see here there is no skipping of generation is taking place. That is why we consider it to be the dominant one, right? However, if I'm talking whether it is a sex link or whether it is an autosomal, you know very well enough that from the mother, the male child is affected. That is fine. But here in this case, the father is unaffected, but the child has got affected. If you remember, sex linked is what is a crisscross inheritance. That means father has to be affected in order for the female to get affected. So let's take, I consider it to be autosomal dominant. Let's take the example of it. Suppose this is what? This is either it can be capital, this is the autosomal dominant, definitely it can be capital A or capital small a. And this is always be small a, right? So what the result can be? It can be either this, we have to go with the capital A small a. Why? Because if I'm considering it capital A, suppose if I'm taking this one, capital A, if one of the capital A will be going to any of the progeny is affected. But here in the second generation, you can see two are affected and remaining are unaffected. That means definitely it is not carrying the capital A trait. So it is like this. Let's calculate it. It is capital A, that is why it is affected, capital A small a. It is unaffected, so it should be this one. Again it is unaffected, this should be one, and this, like this we can get the answer. I hope I'm getting cleared here in this question. Let's move ahead. Now this question, see what is asking. Let us move ahead with the questions. I don't think you will face any kind of trouble now with the questions. Suppose this one I have taken up. They have already told this is an autosomal dominant, right? And you have to identify the genetic makeup of the first generation is. The first generation they are talking of. If this is, okay, this is unaffected, right? And this one is unaffected, right? So this is the one, because you can see well enough here that this is unaffected male. That is from here only we can get the answer. Again, a easy question. Given below is a pedigree chart of family with 5 children. It shows the inheritance of the attached earlobes as opposed to the free ones. Which of the following conclusions you can draw? You can see here there is a skipping of generation. That is why it has to be recessive one, right? Okay. Now next what we need to know here, it's a recessive. So whether it can be a autosomal or it is what? It is a sex linked. Let's see here. For the see here, for the male to be affected, the female, right? The female has to be, the female is carrier here, right? However, for the female to be affected, suppose this is XY, right? From here, I can understand this X dot Y is coming. But how about this one? For the recessive one, the trait can be this here in this case. But this is saying to be the earlobes, which is the attached earlobes. So that is why it cannot be possible. Why? Because for to show it to be affected individual, both the X chromosome has to be affected. So let's talk of the autosomal recessive one here. Autosomal recessive one. This one is capital A small a and this one is capital A small a. From here, you can come to the conclusion. This is small a, this one is capital A, then this one is capital A small a, again small a, you can say, and then we have small a, capital A. So you can see here that it can be autosomal recessive. I hope for the attached female you have understand that for it to be sex linked, right, the male has to be affected. Here you can see the male parent is not affected. So how come she will be affected? That is why we have not taken sex link and we are going with the autosomal recessive trait. Why recessive? Because there's a skipping of the generation we have seen. Now let's take the example of this one. Another interesting one. There is also skipping of the generation. See, this is affected. This is affected. No, this is fine. Let me just look at here. This is here the skipping of the generation has taken place. See, this is not affected. The female is not affected, but the progeny is showing the affected one, right? The first thing. And if we are considering it to be recessive, it can either be sex linked or it can be autosomal, right? Fine. If I'm talking of the autosomal, what you need to know about the autosomal, that normal parents in autosomal, if I'm talking of the recessive trait, right? Normal, okay, affected parent will not have a normal child. Here it is what normal parents will not have the affected child. It is autosomal recessive. Autosomal recessive, why? Because these are what? These are normal individuals. Normal individuals cannot have, normal parents will not have affected child, right? The first thing is this. Considering it to be autosomal or sex linked, why it cannot be X linked? Because from the let's see here, if the female is affected, see why it cannot be sex linked. Here you are seeing this is affected, right? This is definitely, it is normal one. Had it been the X linked recessive, it has to be a disease one. But what you are seeing here, it is not the disease one, right? That is why I'm talking it to be the autosomal recessive. Autosomal recessive, you know very well, this is the affected one. This is the normal one. That is why all the progenies are what? Normal. That is why it is autosomal recessive. Okay. Let's take the example of this again. Again, there is a skipping of the generations. See, this generation do not have the affected individual, but here you can see well enough, right? I hope I'm getting it clear. Again, the same thing is happening here, 7th and 8th C here. For this to be affected, or let's take the example of this one. For female to be affected, the male has to be the diseased one. That is, then you will get the female child to be affected. So you can see well enough from here that it is also one of the example of the autosomal recessive. Why? Because for the female, if I'm talking about the sex-linked recessive, if you consider it to be the sex-linked recessive, this has to be affected. Even if she is the carrier, definitely she will not show the affected symbol. But for female child to be get affected, the male has to be affected for sure. So for male to be affected, it has to be show a bridge one. In the diagram, it doesn't show. That is why this is to be autosomal recessive. I hope now the questions will be well enough cleared.